Oh, Cody's there.
Let's go.
There we go.
Hopefully we can hear everybody now. Can we? I don't know. We won't know that, but hopefully our viewers can. This is take 2 of season 3, episode 7 of the Van Dyke Mortgage West Michigan Sports Podcast, brought to you by Durgan Insurance Group. We had some technical difficulties at 4 o'clock when the show typically starts, so we rebooted and put out a different link. Hopefully everybody got to it, and hopefully everybody gets to it, but good afternoon or good evening now. Who knows? It's almost 5 o'clock.
The sun's going down in Michigan, so it's good night.
If you're on your way home, man, you make sure you copy and paste and send.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah, and let us know, please, if you're still not getting audio, then I guess we're just gonna have to.
Billy Mann gave us the thumbs up, so I think we're good. He came in and saved the day.
He did. Thank you very much, Billy. Billy's hasn't been feeling great, but he came in and got the plane up in the air, so hopefully we can land it safely too. But I'm Scott DeCamp, one of the co-hosts of this, joined by fellow co-host Ken Byard. Welcome back after having a week off.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
You were attending to some business?
Yep, up at Crystal Mountain for the Dean AP Summit, so doing some work up there.
And we got Cody back and actually have him on the screen now, which is a bonus.
Yes, wore my sweater for this occasion. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks. Thanks for hanging in there. And, of course, without further ado, thanks to our special guest here. I mean special.
In so many ways.
Yes.
Wow.
Jon Romkema, athletic trainer and sports medicine manager for Trinity Health Muskegon.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you've been doing this a long time.
A while.
How long? I will say.
35th year as an athletic trainer.
Well, because I was going to say, I'm 50 years old.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell the story again.
I'll tell it again because people couldn't hear it last time.
Right.
I want to hear it again.
Is that slower this time? It seems like it is. I don't know. But I played baseball at Muskegon Community College, and he used to work on my rubber arm back then. So,
do you remember Scott?
No,
probably not. I made that much of an impression on him. I was about 160 pounds though too then.
There you go. So you're 50. You're 18.
I was about 19 or 20 because I
let's do 20.
Did the scenic route.
Math is easier. So you're talking 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. You've seen a few athletes.
There's been a few, yeah. Been a
and
few.
you probably remember the good ones.
Cody Katers.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the really bad ones?
So anyway,
it's weird if he's sitting right here.
Oh, that was easy. Come on.
I played baseball. How good of an athlete do you have to be to play baseball?
Fair.
Who'd you play
helps. Jim Moose.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So
great times.
That's a back in the day, right?
That is a
back in the day.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
How have things been going for you?
Things are going good. Just trying to keep kids healthy in the Greater West Michigan Conference and Greater Muskegon area.
Where are you at now?
Right now, I'm in Whitehall, Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh,
for your occupation.
My occupation. It's weird having to do this like a redo. So redos aren't just in the NFL.
No,
but hit it.
Replay it.
You missed. Oh, dude.
My timing's bad. I couldn't pitch worth a crap.
He's rattled.
I can't control the board. I can't get the audio.
You were a pitcher?
Yeah, I just got to calm down.
So breathe. Were you a submarine pitcher? What do?
No, just kind of probably three-quarters lefty.
Throw on the heat.
Listen,
lefty.
He was
curveball
out of Ravenna, Michigan. Out of Paul Herman's had a great baseball program.
We got to the semis my senior year.
Oh, really?
We were 27-4.
Who'd you
talk
lose
about
to?
Great coaches in the West Michigan
2 teams
Conference.
that year.
That guy.
2 teams
Paul
that year. We
Herman
lost
was
Muskegon Catholic 3 times, and we lost to the eventual state champion Mason in the semis.
Oh, okay.
Did you pitch in those games?
Pitched in 2 of them.
The 2 you lost?
What were your stats?
I was 12-2 with like a 2 ERA. Which
okay.
Jeez.
Dang,
right.
big boy.
Throwing it around.
Anything else? You got anything else for me?
Is this your podcast?
Wow.
So, anyhow.
Answer your question. Where am I now? I have, since August of 21, I have been tormenting the Shelby Tigers. Poor Shelby Tigers, yes. Great people at Shelby, great culture. You might not know by the wins and losses in the football program. The basketball programs are doing just fine. I mean, comparatively speaking. anyways, yeah.
The volleyball team had a great run.
Yeah, very good. Tom Wyrick does a great job coaching, and it does help when you have an all-state libero and an all-state outside hitter who maybe, I think she was number 2 in her class in the state. The other girl ahead of her was a setter. I don't know from where, but.
And she's a sophomore, right?
Yeah.
She's a sophomore. She's probably going to hit 2,000 career kills, I'm guessing October next year.
Jeez.
For those who, I'm sure you do know, but for
That's
those
crazy.
who don't, it's Nevaeh
Gauthier. Possibly one of the best female athletes you're going to see. And
Yeah.
she's concentrating on volleyball. She wants to play Division I volleyball. Give her kudos for that. She knows what she's doing. She's got a plan. But if she played other sports, she'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Dying to get her on the basketball.
What is her work ethic like compared
amazing
compared to the other student athletes at Shelby?
Okay. Well, I mean, any athlete, any school. I mean, I've seen a few over the last 35 years. I mean, that kid just flat out works at everything. She works at personal training. She academic. I mean, I don't know what a grade point average is, but I know it's good. It's like honor society or above that. It's got really good grades. Yeah, she works at everything. She just takes care of business.
So we have a little break here. We're going to thank our sponsors real quick. Make sure we get that in. So start with Grieve Law, West Michigan Joint Divorce Lawyers, Big Stone Therapies, Green Ridge Realty with Chris Dykman, Sarah Reel, North Grove Brewers, Foundation Systems of Michigan with John Botten, Coldwell Banker with Dave Dusenberry, who is a loyal viewer of the show and also helped let us know about the audio issues. Thank you, David. Hopefully you're joining us again here. Scheid Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Special thanks to our title sponsors, Van Dyke Mortgage Lakeshore, located at 460 West Western Avenue in Muskegon. You can give them a call at 231-332-6500. And then, of course, Durga Insurance Group. They can be located at 1535 Far Road, Norton Shores. You can reach them at 231-744-9106. And please hit those like and subscribe buttons on our CatchMark SportsNet YouTube channel. And make sure you like and follow our social media pages. We got a lot of good content and in-game updates that go out there, as well as our links to our stories and that kind of thing. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even TikTok. And as a reminder, if you are with us here, we want to hear from you. So let us know in the comment section, and we'll get to your questions for any of us here on the show. So you kind of talked about where you're at now, but where are you coming from, John? Where did this all start for you?
I was born in the Detroit area, Royal Oak specifically. Grew up in Grand Rapids, went to West Catholic High School, and came to Muskegon in 1989, working at Muskegon Community College, and then transferred over to Heckley Hospital. Been at the hospital ever since.
What kind of sports did you play there, John?
You must have been a stud.
Jeez.
The redos are weird because you already know the answer to the question.
You look like you would run the 800 in high school.
I ran the 800 in high school.
What?
How'd you know that?
Incredibly slow as I did.
Half mile runner.
And right, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, well, you should be on the team. We don't cut in track, and hey, some kid didn't show up on Wednesday, so you can run on Thursday.
Perfect.
Try to finish before the day's over.
We're talking about speed merchants here, right?
Yeah, we were or non-speed merchants.
I wasn't.
No, you were.
I could run the 800 because I could.
Cody, for his size, is pretty good. Had pretty good speed. He could run a little.
Yeah, decent. Not anymore, but
well, no, you're old now, Cody.
yeah.
I could go more endurance because I couldn't run fast, but I. Could
Well, that's
run
what I tried
distance.
to do in the half. It was like, well, here's endurance, but yeah, let's not go too far.
Yeah.
Who is faster in their prime, you or your wife?
I'm gonna say her.
Good answer.
Yeah, it's a good answer. It's also a safe answer.
Absolutely. You're welcome. That's the softball you asked for.
I did ask for softballs. Thank you. Keep throwing the softball.
So did you try to participate in any other sports?
I didn't in high school. I did in middle school, but in high school, I got there. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of kids playing football. Like 50 on each squad, 50 freshmen, 50 JV, 50 varsity. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to peace out on this. I'm going to go hang out with the athletic trainer, learn how to tape some ankles. Probably my first mentor I ever had, and a great dude, and kind of pushed me towards this, pushed me to Grand Valley, told me this place to go. I did, listened to him, and there you go.
So was that like 4 years then? Like 4 years of kind of like working with him as a mentor?
Yeah, I mean, for the 4 years in high school, yes.
Yeah, that's what
Yes. Like 4 years of college, I mean, it's like, yeah, let's not talk about college.
So you don't see like there aren't athletic training programs in high school, right?
No.
Okay, because that's kind of a thing. Like I have a relative in Alabama. She teaches a athletic training class, and then they have the kids who do all the work.
We used to have that in Michigan.
Okay.
When athletic trainers became licensed in the state of Michigan in 2009 or 8, I don't know. My brain's not working. The State Practice Act didn't allow that.
Oh, okay.
So you can have student aides, student managers, but they can't actually do anything.
God, that'd be a great CTC program, you know.
It would be a terrible CTC.
Oh, it would be?
Yeah, because it's like they can't do anything, and you can
that's
teach
fair.
them stuff, but then they can't do it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they can't.
Sorry.
They can't go
Didn't
hands.
mean I can do that.
Yeah, they can't go hands on it.
They cannot.
Not even ice. Not tape.
Like you said here, this how you put an ice pack on, put it on. You could do that. 'Cause that's
But
more
not
first
tape
aid.
or anything along
No.
those lines. Yeah, down in Georgia, we had AIDS, and we had a class just like that.
Yeah.
The ones that you're stating, and they helped a lot, in those regards. We had 2 trainers, and then we had, I think, 2 or 3 more aides that were capable. They weren't.
So they were hands-on?
They were certified,
Okay.
rather than in some way. Rather
Right.
than, okay, yeah.
Great
That's
way to
interesting.
grow the profession.
Yeah. Is there a shortage right now?
There's a part of the reason why Shelby stuck with me is there's a very large athletic trainer job market shortage. So they talk about teacher shortages. They don't talk about it because I don't know why, but because we don't impact. I don't know, we do impact kids. I don't know. I'm not sure why I don't talk about it. But yeah, this is really hard. Athletic training is going through a metamorphosis where another big word.
You're on today.
I am. Where they're changing education from a bachelor's to a master's level, and that is really shot. It's been great for education, bad. I don't think they really foresaw it. So before they went to a master's, there was 22 bachelor's degree issuing college university of the state of Michigan. There are now 6.
Oh,
So when you go from 22 graduating athletic trainers to 6, that's a lot less coming out.
yeah, that's an issue.
That's an issue.
So is the pay relative to a kid getting a master's and making it worth their while?
It's going to take a while for that to catch up. It hasn't caught up. It's not like a push a button and all of a sudden your salaries
Right.
go up. You know that from your administrative
For
days.
sure, right?
The pay scale for an athletic trainer is similar to that of a teacher. I mean, it starts about the same, ends about the same.
Right.
Is it hours? Why are people having a hard time going through this?
Well, you're not graduating as many students, as many graduates in those programs. So you went from 22 college universities graduating thousands to 6 graduating hundreds.
But why do you think colleges are saying that we don't need to run this
A
program?
lot. Why do they don't want to do that? A lot of them don't have graduate. Like Hope College had a program where they don't have a graduate school. You didn't know that. Hope College is a completely undergraduate college, so they like, well, we're out. Aquinas just decided. Now my college decided we don't want to do it. We don't want to make that a master's program.
So the only way you can get certified in Michigan is to have a master's.
So the process is that you graduate from a program, you take a national certification
Right.
exam, like nursing and physical therapy. They all have a national board test,
Right.
and then you apply for state licensure and you get it. So the process to get that is you have to have a master's degree because that's how you get to the city for the national exam.
Geez, so we do have our first commenter, Tom Jenkins, father
boy.
of Ira and
boy.
Wyatt.
Tom, keep it clean, boy.
Hey, fellas, have John tell some of his MCC wrestling stories. And by the way, his profile pic, he looks like a daytime soap opera star in that pic.
Oh boy.
Is that a
you think?
mustache? Is that a goatee mustache?
See
What do we got?
that?
Is that a Fu Manchu? What do
Kind
we
of
got
that
going
pose
on
that he's
there?
got going on in that. What do you say?
Yeah, we need to have answers here.
Yeah.
So anyway, to his question, what are the
this?
great stories? You got to have some great Gaffner stories and et cetera.
Get the buzzer ready.
Yeah.
Get the buzzer ready.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. You're going to pay for that, the Eagles, later. Ron Gaffner is just a great human being, great wrestling coach, great builder of men. You talk about culture. That's a guy that the junior college is different. It's hard to create culture. Matt Hausman did a great job in softball and at MCC. And it's hard to explain Ron Gaffner's culture, but it's like he recruited a lot of kids, and they came in and they had to compete, and some of them could mentally handle it and competed, did really well, and some couldn't. I don't know. My Ron Gaffner, as far as I can tell,
Coach Gaffner still gets around in a lot of different wrestling
He does.
tournaments.
He
And stuff.
does.
He's active.
he's very
stuff.
active, and like I said, won't meet a better human being. You absolutely won't. He's one of those guys that if he asks you to do something, you do it. And like we're the Eagles, like Eagles a couple years ago, and he's like, "I need you and Kathy to work a hole." Okay, coach, we're there. When, where, and what time? Okay, we'll be there. What am I doing?
At their golf outing that they have?
It's golf outing, yeah. And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, okay, we're there. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what stories Tom wants me to hear.
He just has if you're talking about Coach Gaffner, he just has that knack of
he has a knack. He's got
influential.
Oh, absolutely, yes. And when I say builder of men, I mean, that's like kind of, you hear that statement sometimes, but that's what he was. And I never ran into a kid that wrestled for Ron Gaffner for 2 years and didn't walk out saying, that was the best experience of my life.
So
and that tells you, speaks volumes.
Not only do we have great stories, but we get answers on this show. So
did he answer
Tom
it too?
Jenkins answered where he got the photo. It's the Zoolander app.
Classic movie, by the way.
What's an app?
I don't know.
I
He's probably
can't
kidding,
see
but
what you're looking at.
But now I want to. You see the Tom Jenkins little daytime soap opera little avatar right there
Where is he?
on the bottom right of the screen. See the bottom right of the screen?
Oh, okay, I see you now.
Daytime soap opera
Hey,
type
fellas,
thing going
have
on.
John tell some MCC wrestling stories. Yeah, I can't do that, Tom.
That's for the 11 p.m. version at the Eagles.
But that's my story about MCC wrestling. Is Ron Gaffner is an institution. He's a great human being, and I definitely I love the guy.
What are some of the other cultures that you've been around that?
I mentioned Matt Hausman did an amazing job with softball. I mean, he comes in, he's a baseball guy. He gets kids to win in and to buy in, and they didn't have the greatest talent. You got a little bit of luck. You create, if you take talent, create culture, create chemistry, and hard work ethic, and you're going to win. And that's what he did. Sometimes winning takes luck, and he took a little bit of luck. I mean, our state championships we won with Tony. I mean, every one of them had one game that was like, okay, we just got lucky in that one. And because you have that when you make a run like that. I don't know if in your games that
Oh yeah, plenty.
they just like, we dodged a bullet there. We got lucky on that one.
Seems like you're gonna have those scares most times in
Yeah,
those runs.
yeah, and that's usually
least
when
one of them.
that's usually when the culture takes over.
That's when the culture takes over.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mentioned in the first take of this, kind of weird doing it twice. Shelby's got great culture. You walk in that building, it's like there's just good things going on. The superintendent, Mark, the principal, Zach, and Chuck Personer, the athletic director, there's a good culture there. And just good things happening. Does it equate out to W's? Not always. But sometimes W's aren't always the most important thing. It's if you're a fan, we don't win, we don't win. That's, oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. Like, no, it's not the worst thing in the world. The kids are learning stuff. They're enjoying themselves. For a team, might have 60 kids, 70 kids out next year. And a team that's won 2 games in 4 years. That's culture.
Yeah.
That's culture.
Yeah, that really is.
That's outstanding.
That's culture.
So Tom Jenkins has another question for you. Pre-concussion protocol stories. LOL.
Oh, he used the word.
No, we're not talking
They were
about concussions.
All right.
Tom, we've learned a lot over the last number of years. That's all I'll say.
Wait, pre-concussion protocols. That's all an oxymoron, isn't
Yeah, I was gonna
isn't
say,
it?
yeah.
Like back then, at least.
Yeah, right.
Can you turn Tom off?
So Sean Hadke, he's on here. He's on here quite a bit on this podcast, but he says late to hop on. Actually, you're not, Sean, because this is kind of a redo. But as an athletic trainer, with all that's available to athletes nowadays, nutrition, training, and rehab, compared to when Cody and I were in school, or even back in the 90s, what are your thoughts on athlete comparisons and where they stack up?
That's kind of deep.
Because he's mentioning LeBron, Jordan, Kater, Collins. I mean,
Threw Kater
he's
with
jumping.
LeBron and
Yeah.
Jordan.
Goats.
And
They're
Drew
all
Collins,
Look at
recent
you.
recent state champs, those of the past. He's calling you the past.
You are
buddy.
the past. Or Cody's. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, very
So,
much so.
Nutrition, training, and rehab. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. I'm going to throw, I guess you're talking about training, talking about strength training, conditioning. all that stuff. I mean, that's great stuff. Like we talked about Nevaeh Gauthier. She basically tackles all that stuff. She watches her diet very closely. She works with a nutritionist. She works with a strength and training strength coach. And so there's one kid I can talk about that tries to hit every one of those things. And there's a lot of things involved in it. It costs money. You got to have access to it. You got to be able to willing to drive for it. She's in Shelby. She's got to drive to get to that stuff. Also, there's online resources as well you can go to. Are they important? Yeah, they're very important. What's the rest of this question?
Just thoughts on athlete comparisons, where they stack up, kind of going from that to nutrition and everything, and how maybe things have changed over the years.
Yeah, just
Sean and Cody are in school. I mean, it's not changed that much. It's a little bit. I mean, there's more people doing it more with mass media and internet, social media. I think they can market themselves more, and you have probably have greater access to it. Which is good. It's not bad.
Has the kid changed since you?
I don't think the kid. Well, I think kids have changed. Yes, the kids have changed because of all the mass media and social media and all the stuff around them.
Parenting. What about parenting?
You know, to an extent, parenting's changed. I see a lot of parents that are very good parents, and then you see some parents that are absent. But I'm not sure that wasn't that way when we were growing up either.
Right.
You have good and you have absent. I mean,
so as far as the kid changing and going to nutrition, like hormones in food, like is that you know what I mean? Like some deeper level stuff, right? Like things.
That's a deep topic, and didn't see that in the.
So are kids are kids like actually physically changing, right? I feel like kids now are bigger, faster, stronger for whatever reason. The resources that are available, strength and conditioning. Yeah.
I'd like to think foods. I like to think it's that. It's we're training kids better. We're feeding them better. We're everything else. But I mean, you hear about the hormones in food, and the food industries there, they want big chickens to get more meat out of them, and there's more hormones in them. And if you eat those hormones, if they're growth hormones, they're going to be in your body.
Right.
I mean, that's a fact. There's a reason why organic stuff is so big. And I'm not an organic guy, first of all. Just make sure that you understand that. I'm going to eat meat wherever it comes from. I don't really care.
I saw you at the Hobo's Tavern.
I like Hobo's Tavern.
That rack of ribs you had was about half the size of this table.
By the way, Bo was one of my North Muskegon athletes back in the mid-'90s.
He was a heck of an athlete.
He was a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
That's Dave Cook. Has, I'm going to parlay this, Sean. Sorry to answer your question. Dave Cook has some great athletes in a very, very strong West Michigan conference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Think about the coaches you had then. You had Dusty. You had Jack Sugars, you had Jeff. You had Dave Cook, and you had Ken Diamond, and I'm missing some, and I can't remember the guy at Whitehall's name then, but
Baxter.
I mean, Bruce Baxter's a great coach. I mean, you have those are some guys that could coach, could mold men. There's that word again. They have some great teams, and anyway.
So, have you ever, as much as you've been involved with athletics, you've never been tempted to like put a coaching hat on?
Never,
ever.
Okay,
it just doesn't appeal to you.
I think one night I coached my daughter's summer softball team, and I'm not going to tell you how I ended up in the coach's box, but the game got delayed. We're at Softball World. You know what Softball World has, and it's like all the parents are there, and I ended up coaching third base, and they got destroyed, and it had to be my fault.
And then you hung it up after that.
I was done. I was terrible. I'm like. Yeah. The other thing with officiating is no way I could officiate. I love the officials. I think the longer I've been in this, the more I respect and appreciate what the officials do every day.
Absolutely.
We talk about athletes and coaches. We should probably talk about officials. Those guys are amazing. There's a lot of great officials in all different sports in the greater Muskegon area.
Yeah, and the word on the street is they're increasing their pay by 50%. Coming up this coming season, right?
Yeah, the contract's on the table. Right. I don't know if it's been signed.
The Supes would love to hear you say that.
Well, I mean, it's something that they have to do, or else they're not going to get people.
They do. I mean, yeah. But anyways,
so there's a person by the name of Alex. Not sure who that is. John, what school produces the best athletic trainer? CMU or Grand Valley?
That's
people
Alex
need
German.
to know. Okay.
Alex is the athletic trainer at Orchard View. He's a Fire Up Chips grad.
Hey, Fire Up forever.
He's a Fire Up Chips grad. He's a Fruitport graduate and went to Central. And thanks, Alex. Appreciate you joining me. I didn't tell the athletic trainers I was on this. I didn't want them to know. I didn't want them to tune in.
All we got to do is tag you on Facebook.
I did make the mistake of telling Jacqueline, Jacqueline, oh God, Jacqueline Kane was Jacqueline Tanner, my boss, and I told her, and I shouldn't have told her. She's got a big mouth.
Shout out to Jacqueline.
Shout out to Jacqueline. She may have doubled your
Views. Yeah.
I think we're going to get a lot more views now just because we got Cody's face on here.
I'm biased because I'm a Grand Valley grad, but Central and Grand Valley both do an absolutely amazing job educating athletic trainers. Absolutely amazing job. I have friends at both campuses. We've got majority of our athletic training staff in Muskegon are one of those two.
So as you're doing the hiring process, you see CMU or GV, which one are you leaning?
Neither one. I want them from both those places.
Okay.
They're outstanding.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's
I just irritated about 4 athletic trainers in my staff that aren't a Grand Valley
Right.
or a Central.
Yeah.
But you
guys
see
are
like
decent.
for journalism, like Northwestern and Syracuse are 2 of the top ones. Missouri's really good. Those are like nationwide ones. Are there like nationwide colleges that are
I'm sure there are.
great? You just
I don't care about them.
You don't care.
Nope.
Here and now, he's in the zone.
Central.
Have you
Grand
ever
Valley.
have you ever wanted to be a college athletic trainer?
I did Muskegon Community College, and
Okay.
that was great because I was local. I was close by. I had them for 2 years, and I got rid of them. It was some you don't want to get rid of, and some you're like, yeah, you need to go.
Some you don't remember.
Some you don't remember.
Oh, you're talking about the athletes. Sorry.
But, no. So I mean, I love being at the community college because I had college athletes. I had 18, 19, 20-year-olds. But I didn't get 21, 22-year-olds. We didn't get them for 4 years. That was my dream job when I came out of college. I wanted to be a college athletic trainer, and I was. My first year out of college, I was actually the head athletic trainer at Marion University in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. There you go. 1987, 88, I think it was. I don't remember. 88, 89, I don't remember. But something like that. Yeah, NEI school.
And you just didn't like the college?
Well, no, I mean, I was engaged, and just the way our things were working out, it was like, okay, we're going back to Michigan.
Oh, okay.
How has athletic training evolved throughout your career?
Well, I started going down this road a little bit when we talked about how the education has exponentially changed. Mm-hmm. What's that word again? That it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot in the education sense, which is us going to change it. So, like with stuff that we learned, people my age, my wife Kathy, Ted Quick, Pam Simon is our athletic trainer at Fruitport, Michael Ann Hendrickson, who's here at Whitehall. We start dropping names, you're in trouble, right? And I've just got myself in trouble. We all went through a totally different education than even the ones who graduated in the late 90s, early 2000s, much less 2020s. Very, very different education.
So along those lines, do you get frustrated with people that come in and they give their own diagnosis because they saw it on WebMD or they Google it and they're like, oh, I think I have this. And you're like, what are you talking about?
I don't, because I did that to my doctor last week. So I blood work done. I walk in, I go, hey, by the way, I look at my blood things. Apparently, according to Google, I have leukemia. And he looks at me. Yeah, he looks at me like.
Maybe I shouldn't joke about that. Sorry.
No, I know. I mean, he looks at me like, really? And I'm like, sorry, doc.
So do you guys get a lot of that, though? Kids coming in like that?
We do. And it's kind of like me walking to the doc and saying, yeah, they got leukemia. The doc comes in, hey, the kid comes in, yeah, they got torn ACL. I'm like, really? How did you manage doing that? Well, Google said I did it. Man, Google's wrong.
Yeah.
What about coaches, though? I mean, have you ever had like an altercation with a coach that
An altercation?
Yeah. That you're like, you were trying to figure out like, hey, this kid's hurt, and he wasn't having it or she wasn't having it.
So philosophical disagreement.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Was the varsity blues? You got to make them understand.
Yeah.
I would never say altercation. I would say, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk this through. And a lot of times, hey, let me tell you more about this kid that maybe you don't understand. And I go, okay, well, this is what I saw objectively. So this is where we're at, that type of thing. Ron Gaff and I had a few of those conversations behind closed doors, but it wasn't necessarily arguing about whether the kid was hurt or not. It was just a different perspective.
Yeah, if the kid can go forward or not. With
it was like, where are we at? What can we do type thing. But
yeah. So, are you in favor of multi-sport athletes as a trainer?
Absolutely.
And why?
They're trained better. I mean, by trained better is you're multi-training, you're cross-training the body. You need to do more things than just play soccer. And I love my soccer players, don't get me wrong. But they take the game of soccer and they change it into every different format. Indoors, outdoors,
futsal.
You know, and it's great that you can do that to a universal sport, but play something different. Like, do something different with your body. Your stresses aren't constantly the same. So if you're a quarterback and you're a baseball pitcher, you're doing the same thing, right? Essentially. Go do something different. Go be a long jumper. Go run track. I mean, just do anything different with your body so the forces and the stresses aren't the same on your body every season.
Are you finding more student athletes not doing multi-sports?
Yes, they're specializing way too much. They need to stop doing that. But I mean, as you know, that the obvious statement here, the white elephant in the room, is that travel sports is an industry.
Yes.
In every sport. In football, weird. I always said, well, no, I don't ever happen in football. It's happening in football. Mm-hmm. You're seeing that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's good. I'm going to be the bad guy out there and say, no, that's not good.
Right.
In an ideal world, they would just play for their school, and you'd play 3 sports a year. And, you know, what I love about Shelby has a 12-sport athlete award.
Yeah.
Like, come and play 12 sports, and you get this award. I don't know any other school that has it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I was like, oh, tell me about this. This is interesting. The bad thing is, like, with kids, like, well, I got to find a sport to play, and so I'm going to run cross country, and never run cross country before. No, don't do that. Okay, I do that. What the heck?
Run the 800.
Run the 800 very slowly. Yeah. Jon Romkema did. Yeah. No, I absolutely should play multiple sports.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of the stats, and I don't have them, I'm not that bright. I have all kinds of information in front of me. I don't have that. Is like the NFL draft, what percentage of them played 2 sports or 3 sports? It's high. Right. Like 70 to 80% did not just play football.
Well, and I think that's one of the nice things about our area is that, you know, they're all size schools where you can do multiple sports, right? Like, we're not, you know, Rockford huge where, you know, the kid that plays basketball probably just plays basketball, right? Like, we're a small enough size, even the big ones at Puffer, and you see multi-sport athletes there.
Right.
So it's more engaging, I think, as a fan, because you get to see kids compete at different levels. But I completely agree with you. You know, the multi-billion-dollar business that travel sports is getting completely out of control, and unfortunately, you have to do it in order to just keep up with the Joneses, right? And if you want your kid to have a chance to play at the high school level, they almost have to do travel, and it's unfortunate. But it is what it is.
It is.
If you could create your best athlete, like, what sports would they play? Male and female. So if you could create, like,
wow,
out of the 12 sports or whatever are offered.
Do you have an idea? Are you going to tell me if I'm right or wrong? Or
I have an idea.
You have an idea
of a male football player and of a female basketball
here's the thing.
player.
It depends. It depends on your background. I mean, nothing against soccer. I love football, so play football. I love the kids who kick. Who play soccer and they kick on the football teams, and some districts don't allow it. Muskegon's made money. Mm-hmm. Shane and Tony made money on those kickers. I mean, remember in 2008, his kicker kicked like a 54-yard field goal against Zeeland West, and it was like he didn't need the points because they won like 20-0 or something like that. But it's like, where was that at?
Yeah,
you know. And then Phil Fortier can't get anybody to kick at Shelby because they just started dual sporting. And like I think last year he didn't score a lot of points, but they didn't make a PAT, not kicking it because they couldn't find a kid that could kick.
Puffer was real close to that too. So
yeah. But
Phil, I feel you.
I would probably. I mean, the typical ones are football, basketball, baseball.
But if you wanted to be the best football player at your high school,
I would say
what
wrestle.
Sports should they play?
I would say football, and I'd say wrestle, and in the spring track. If you want to be a great football player, it's just Jon Romkema's opinion means nothing.
Right.
But I would say play football, wrestle, and then run track.
What about to be a great baseball player?
I like my other answer better. Baseball. I mean, I don't think it matters. Just do something in the fall to keep you busy that doesn't involve throwing. Just compete.
Yeah. Compete.
Because the other part about being an athlete is learn how to compete.
Right.
And just learn how to go against somebody.
Well, here's the thing: in high school sports, you don't have to be the best athlete to compete.
No, but just
there's something to be said for that.
But life's
so
a competition, so if you learn how to compete in sports, it carries over to whatever you do in life.
Well, that's the frustrating part with some kids. You know, when they choose not to participate for whatever reason, they don't realize in that moment that they're going to run out of opportunities to compete. And there's nothing, those opportunities just start to dwindle as you get older, right? And so you don't even know what you're missing when you decide not to go out and compete. You know, you don't have to win, right? But just go compete.
Yep. It's something different.
Right.
And compete where maybe you're not the star athlete.
Yeah, I have high respect for those kids who are willing to try different things. North Muskegon's having their middle school wrestling meet as we speak, right? And that's a new
Might be
program.
done now.
Right. That's a new program as of 3 or 4 years ago. And the first kids that came out, they're like, well, I've never wrestled. And you're like, perfect. Great opportunity. Go try it, right? What's the worst that's going to happen? And so
Well,
there's a
Well,
lot
I
of
can think of
things
some bad things.
but
Yeah.
I can give you a list if you like.
right.
What about the high school kid that's like trying to get a scholarship? Like what do we feel like? How do we think about that?
I'd say study. That's a curveball, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like.
I mean, because first of all, if you want to compete in the college level, you got to have grades.
Right.
1, 2, grades are going to get you further in sports, anyways.
Yeah.
The football coaches are like, "What are you talking about?" The other part of it is that if you're intelligent and you have an IQ, it's going to carry you over to whatever sport you're playing.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
So is not that you have to be smart to be a good football player. I mean, I know some football players and basketball players that weren't rocket scientists, but they did really well in their sport. But have the grades to back it up. Nate McLeod is a great example. He had valedictorian 4.0 something. I'm talking on the side of my head here, but
I have no.
But I mean, a Michigan offer to play football there.
So
but,
like if I remember right, and anybody can call and correct me on this. Nate had very good grades. I'm going to Michigan, was accepted in Michigan, and kept telling me that's why I wasn't going. He was going to Michigan. And so when it came to signing bonus, they paid him more money to not go to Michigan to play baseball right out of high school. And
Seems like a good problem to have. Yeah.
that's a great problem to have. However, I mean, I've also seen athletes that had no grades that like, I got to get drafted or I'm in trouble because I can't even play next year because I'm not going to be eligible.
I have 3 actually right now, and hopefully they're listening to this podcast. I have 3 athletes at Reese Puffer that, hey, I'll play football if I get a scholarship opportunity throughout my summer going into my senior year. I've dealt with that since I've gotten this head coaching job. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, hey, I will play this sport if I have this Division II.
Don't play the sport.
Possibly.
And you're like, your coach, I need this kid. Don't play the sport. Like, listen, we
don't need you then.
We don't need you.
To compete.
The team's bigger than that.
Right.
I mean, then you go to culture.
Yes.
We're back to the culture thing. But the other thing is there's more scholarship money in academics. That's what I was actually getting at with that point. There's more academic scholarship money than there probably is athletic scholarship money.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
when we come to these club sports, though, these parents are paying so much money that they think like, hey, it's kind of like the stock market. I'm putting all this money into this, and I'm not getting anything out of it. So you have to go play college sports.
It's the wrong reason to have your kids do it.
Yeah. But you hear about this
Absolutely.
all the time. That is definitely like if you went to an inside out volleyball club deal, wouldn't you get more opportunities to hit a ball at practice than you would at the actual event?
Well,
like that's the argument that I would always have. Like, so why wouldn't you go practice more?
Right.
So like Nevaeh Gauthier, not to keep talking about Nevaeh, but she's playing. She's going to be a junior. She's playing with her travel team was with kids that are graduating that have already signed Division I scholarships.
Right.
But she's practicing with these kids every day. So the benefit there is that she's playing against high-level Division I kids every day going into her junior year.
That's going
to make her better,
right? But
now,
she is noticeably on a different track, right?
Very much so.
Athletically, she can be at that level.
Yep.
The average Jimmy and Joe, whose mom and dad are paying $2,000 to play in a season, they probably aren't on that level.
No,
right? And so
the Jon Romkema theory of relativity is that if you love volleyball, go play volleyball. Travel. If you love playing it, just go play it. If you love softball or baseball or whatever, go play them. But if you're playing them solely to get a scholarship, take the money, throw it in the bank. Go play Wall Street.
That's fair.
You're going to make more. You're going to have a better return on your money than hoping that you get seen and get to play. I mean,
yeah, and I think and going back on that competing piece, like I just think like a lot of student athletes these days are only provoked, or they're surviving out there on the court or the field of the playing surface. Like they're not actually truly wanting to dominate because everything was so structured at a younger age, by their parents and manufactured by their parents, that they never actually truly fell in love with like the fact of like getting improve or like seeing improvement, you know, and then you're talking about Nevaeh, is that?
Yes, Nevaeh.
Nevaeh, and she's obviously on a whole different course. Like she enjoys the sport. She's going to do whatever she wants to get to that next level. You know, I think that we cherish that, but not every kid truly, you know, sees sport like that.
Right.
You know, and parents need to probably have a better understanding of how they even perceive sport.
Yeah. I mean, the level of disillusionment in parents, right, is probably at an all-time high for all the various reasons. I mean, we all know, social media being a big one, but you know, any level college athlete is a legitimate athlete. Division I kids are a different breed, and they've been a different breed probably since day one. And I mean, we can all probably list only a handful of D1 kids that we've been around other than being in a D1 program, Cody. Outside of that, they're few and far between, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
And you don't find those kids necessarily in travel leagues and doing all the things, right?
Yeah, I think then that's the other piece. Like I hear this a lot at Reese Puffer, like, well, like our teams might not be as good here, so then we have to go play travel to get noticed so that they have an opportunity to play at that next level. And like that, I see
it a lot, hear it a lot, even in my job with people who are just disillusioned. I mean, and it trickles down maybe to the kids where they get this false sense of where they belong in college. And a lot of kids, I'm going D1 or I'm even going D2, which, I mean, D2 is nothing to sneeze at. Those are some good players, and they end up going to Hope or whatever. And again, not knocking those kids, because if you're playing, that's cool, but it's extremely difficult on any of those levels. But man, those D1 athletes are special, and you know, to an extent, so are D2 ones. So it's not something, they just don't hand those out.
Right. Well, I think too, like to come back to your point of like just play 12 sports. You know, like how Shelby has that award. You know, like those kids up in Shelby, like winning at Shelby is so important to them. So then they have so much pride, and they'll get so much out of it, and their cup will fill up for their life, rather than, hey, let me go try and put my toe in everywhere else. You know, and then, you know, maybe back at Shelby we'll be all right, you know, and we'll do whatever. But like, it sounds like Nevaeh's going to do whatever she can do to make sure that Shelby Tigers win in volleyball.
Yeah, you know, you get those athletes. Sometimes they're like, it's about me. Sometimes it's about the team. With her, I've never seen anything but it's about the team. I've seen a play go wrong, and she goes back, that's my fault. Like, no, that wasn't your fault. That was absolutely not your fault, but she absolutely would take blame for it every time.
But a lot of those athletes,
that's a team kid.
They're all kind of wired the same, though. A lot of those kids are like, I call them generational talents that have come through the West Michigan Conference the last few years. You got her. And obviously Tom Jenkins is on here, but his son Ira I would say he was a generational wrestler that came through. For sure. You don't see those kids come through very often.
Right.
And nor does anybody see the work, the nutrition.
No, the whole deal.
Yeah, the everything else to the pie.
The invisible mornings, as they call them.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's so many pieces to the pie. And I think that's, you know, I think there's a lot of people that are obviously hard to understand that. But again, it just comes down to the competing piece too. Like that is a huge piece of the pie. Like, are you willing, or do you know how to compete?
But those kids seek out, and their families seek out the best. I know a lot of parents, you say, we'll pay the money, and they want to seek it out. But the ones that are truly on that level, they're doing all those things. Like Nevaeh's traveling across the nation to find the best competition. Ira did the same in wrestling. His dad was driving all over the place. But yeah, that's what you see. And
he's not done.
No.
Well, and that just shows you just how rare D1 kids are, right? And I'm assuming that there's a probably pretty good chance that Nevaeh goes D1, but that's just how rare those kids are. You know, they're not a dime a dozen.
No,
you know,
they're definitely not.
They're special individuals.
And the West Michigan Conference has had a lot of them. We started talking before about top West Michigan Conference products.
Yeah, what are yours? What are yours? What are your top?
You know, I don't want to give top. I'll name a bunch of kids.
Just name some that are just for discussion's sake.
Well, I mean, the ones we already talked about, Nevaeh and Ira Jenkins, those are generational athletes, and I think the other ones are generational. Nate McLeod, we mentioned his name, he's a generational athlete. Also, I love that term. That are just at another level. And when you're around those kids, when you're around Nate McLeod in high school, you knew this kid was different.
Yeah,
this kid was special. Again, there he was, Vail Victorian and Ira Jenkins. Tom maybe can tell us, and think he was probably valedictorian.
He was a 4-point.
I mean, these are, so I said study. There you go. Those are kids that did it. Chad Plinus on Mesa County Central, 90 something. He went to Central. He's a fire up chip.
Yep.
He played baseball and basketball.
I was gonna say he played two sports. Too.
D1,
I thought did he play football? I thought maybe he play all three. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know that he played two sports.
He played
Tim
baseball,
Jensen on the
basketball. I
phone.
know that.
Find out.
Yeah, I don't know if he
Get
played
Jensen on the
football,
line.
but yeah.
Spring ball or something. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. So I mean, again, I think he was like 6'8", 6'9", something like that. Yeah. So there you go. Those are the kids that pop in my head right away from the West Michigan Conference. That are just amazing athletes. And there's a lot more. I mean, I mentioned to Vic Zulik this afternoon, and he just started ripping off names like crazy. I mean, Jason Beckman from Shelby, he's playing. Of course, I know the Shelby kids right now. He's out in Europe playing professionally. And the other Beckman kids were great athletes. I mean, the West Michigan Conference is so rich in tradition. You could go to every school, and you could name your top 5 every school and have a pretty amazing set of athletes.
Yeah.
North Muskegon, and they've had some great ones. Drew Namick, Justin Visconti back from the early mid-'90s, ended up at GRJC, but was a phenomenal athlete. I mean, I could go school by school and start naming kids.
Right. So, speaking of the league, I'm assuming you're in favor of and happy to see the expansion.
I think it's cool. I've heard about it for a lot of years, and not being a Muskegon area native, it didn't really mean a lot to me. But I talking to some of the athletic directors I know really well, seeing how much work they put into this to make it go. I mean, it was a Herculean effort. Again, that's a cliche probably, but those guys worked their tails off.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
It was a really big deal, and they put in the effort to make it work right, and they've done a great job. I mean, how many times I walk in the office and Chuck's at a meeting, personnel's at a meeting. You're like, yeah, they meet all the time, but they're constantly talking. That doesn't even count the times they talk through technology. Yeah, I'm in favor. I think they got the right schools in line.
Yeah.
You can't go much bigger because if the MHSA goes to an 8-game schedule where the 9th game is playoffs, I heard that's pretty close.
Yeah.
They got to vote on it still. Yeah.
They got to vote on it. So if that happens, I mean, you can only have so many teams in the conference. So.
Right.
I think all the communities too that they brought in, it matters to them. I think like that's a big deal as well. Like there's so many like conferences out there where communities don't follow their high school athletics. I don't know, like just if it's just because of the pocket where we're at, like West Michigan, but like all of these kids that we're even mentioning, I bet it mattered a lot to them to have Whitehall Vikings go on, in the playoffs.
That's extremely well stated what you just said.
Yeah.
Exactly. These are great communities. They're small towns for the most part. Even Whitehall these are all small towns that they care. The communities care about the high schools. They care about their student athletes, and they follow them.
Yeah, we started using a saying at Montague, it was all glory for the U. So it had nothing to do with personal accolades. And I know, media and those types of things, try to throw that out there and try to individualize different people on teams. But like, it was just like, and that was something everyone could get behind because they all want to see North Muskegon. They all want to, their teams
Absolutely.
were maybe in larger cities, areas, with different demographics. It's a little bit more, personalized in the individual. But, that's something too, that when I saw all the teams that they were bringing in, I thought to myself, like all those schools are full with community backing, especially when they're above average.
So, Puffer obviously not in the West Michigan Conference. So do you feel that or sense that kind of void because you're not necessarily competing with county schools for the most part? That do your families care that you're playing Zeeland East and West?
Yeah.
Or what I'm saying? Like, do you feel that void?
It's a larger school district, so I think already at that point, like it's not as easy to get the communication across and feel that, I guess, just like the passion all of the time. But we had a great backing, throughout this first year. But I would say like county schools are really important. So like our Muskegon and Mona Shores, though, like those two teams, like with that, our whole mantra this year was close the gap, because we were the only team that didn't make the playoffs, the year before. So in Muskegon County, so we were like, hey man, there's something not going on right here. So we've got to figure that out. So we're like, hey, we got to close the gap and try to get a little bit closer to the Mona Shores and Muskegons. But with that being said, yeah, the Wyomings, the Unions, I maybe because the OK has traded teams so often that we don't, we're not playing those guys as much. Maybe historically, maybe that's why it's not there as much. But I do feel like you said, a little bit of void. But I think that's probably at every large school, throughout West Michigan.
Yeah.
So a little bit earlier, topic you were talking about with multi-sporting, Sean Hadke had a comment more so than anything. Because I don't know the landscape of Hesperia sports now, but a majority of their stud wrestlers ran cross country in the fall. Had they chosen to concentrate on football, I'd have to believe they'd be tough. I mean, do you think?
Totally agree with that. I remember that going through that. I mean, because Hesperia was kind of out there. We weren't working with Hesperia then, and they weren't in our county. If I remember right, the wrestling coach coached cross country, so he had influence on those kids. He goes, "Hey, come play this." I think cross country works with a lot of sports. If you're not going to play football or soccer, go run cross country. You're going to get in shape. I saw some of the Shelby kids. They ran cross country. They came in the winter sports. Well, they're running. I mean, the cardiovascular was better, so that was good. There's nothing wrong with that combination. But yeah, if you took those same kids, those wrestlers from Hesperia that were Division I wrestlers, and put them on the football field, yeah, they would have been pretty good. Remember one year North Muskegon played Hesperia, and my wife came back and said, they beat us up. Like, they just flat out hit us hard.
Yeah, they had a couple of years, but they were pretty solid.
Yeah, she was like, if this wasn't week 9, we'd be done tomorrow, next week. And it was week 9. And so she was pretty happy that she's like, oh, I hope they're not that good next year. And they weren't. They were down a little bit, but their kids are graduate. But still, yeah. Oh, yeah, I would totally agree with Sean on that one.
So what are the games like that you've seen or moments you've experienced that kind of stick out in your mind?
That's a great question. You sent me the list of questions. I appreciate that at 8:00 this morning.
We don't want you over prepared, like bringing a laptop or anything.
Right.
I mean, yeah. We give me more time to talk to Zulik and Personaire and Gifford and maybe some other people like Jeff Cook and whatever else. Might have gotten Ken Diamond on the phone.
Yeah.
A lot of great moments. I mean, you always think of the times you win, and moments of win are great. It's with Shane and Tony, and when they won, I was being fortunate to be with them. That was cool. And, I'm going to go with the North Muskegon soccer. It was the most recent one. So it's the recent ones in your memory. But, they, for so many years, I mean, probably 3 or 4 years, went to the lost in the semifinals.
So close.
They were so relaxed all season. When I was at a number of their games. They were so relaxed in the districts. They're relaxed in the regionals. Like, this is no big deal. This is us. They got the semi, like, they got tight. Like, because they're like, this is where we've lost. And they won 2-0. Probably should have been a lot worse. They got to the state finals. They relaxed again. And they just pounded the team 5-0. 5-0's a pounding.
Right,
yeah, it is, yeah.
And like, they're up 1-0 at halftime. I remember Kay looked at me and goes, listen, they've done nothing. Just relax. And they go, we are relaxed. Okay, well, let's just go have fun. And they went out there and scored.
I remember. Yeah, I covered that. It was just.
It was sickening.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was good. So I'll go with that one. But Matt Hausman's MCC softball team that won it in 2010. It was just, I was with those girls a lot, and it was fun. I mean, they're locked in. When you work with athletes, they're locked in. Like your football teams at Montague, when I was hanging out with Jessica, and she didn't kick me out yet for not bringing her food from the press box. They were locked in, and they were fun to watch. Like your game at Ford Field, that 2008 was cool because it was like Catholic, and then it was Muskegon, and then Montague, and so I went out early and hung out with the Catholic. Pam Simon was at Catholic then, and I was hanging out with her. The Catholic game, and I got kicked off the sideline once because I had the wrong pass, and then after Muskegon, I went out and hung out with Jessica. I'm like, oh, see how long I can hang out here. So I was able to get into halftime, so the whole first half, and like just watching you guys locked in. And I remember the play you made. I think they punted deep, and you're like inside the 10. Did you threw like this pass? Was it a pass or a run?
Yeah, it was a pass.
Was it a pass? Was this? Like,
Was it the Anthony Root?
Yeah.
I was like, did he just do that? Like, what the heck is going on? Like, they're locked in.
Right.
So I guess moments would be watching a locked-in team play is just magical, and that's fun. And when I say locked in, it's not just kids. It's the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. It's the players. I walk into Muskegon, I see Ted Quick, and he's like locked in. I'm like, okay, this guy's locked in.
I think those are kind of anyone who's played sports, whether you're a good athlete or not. Those are the moments you kind of long for. That's why you play.
That's why
to try to get that feeling.
And athletic trainers are no different. I mean, coaches know me. Coaches coach, and we train. That's probably the bad way to say it.
But I love seeing it.
Way.
Like as a sports writer, I love seeing that and being around that.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And so I was given not a lot of people give me the title of bandwagon jumper, and I'm like, yes. And I'm exceptionally good at that. I jumped on with Jessica at Montague. I jumped on with Kathy at North Muskegon, and Caleb is just an awesome guy. He was like, "Hey, come on, you're coming with us, right?" Like, yeah, I'm coming with you.
Yeah, why not hang around winners? Right? Like,
winners are fun.
Just seeing them. Yeah, I guess just so focused, and their energy and their vibe and all of that is addicting. I mean, it's goosebumps, having you listen, or listening to you talk about it like that is
that's
powerful stuff.
That's the fun part. It's like, what's the hard part? The hard part is seeing that kid who's just did something bad themselves, and you gotta explain to them, okay, this is bad. But yeah, that's so. There's not one moment when you do this for so many years, but
and I'm sure it's similar in the way that I look at it. But for you, I'm sure it's all about relationships at the end of the day.
It absolutely is. I say, what's the best thing about being an athletic trainer for 35 years is the amazing relationships we've built with you. As a great athlete, turned into a great sports writer.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Scott DeCamp, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy! You treated him, remember?
Yeah.
His left arm.
My left arm.
He was right-handed.
Yeah.
So yeah, the relationships are definitely why we do it, and why we stay in it is for that reason alone.
So can I ask something off script?
Yeah.
The you talk about locked in.
On script?
Well, ish.
Okay.
The ready.
Ready. The whole Buffalo Bills, the Hamlin, and
I'll talk about
I'm
that.
assuming you watched the game or you were quick to get on if you didn't.
I was watching.
So yeah, like what were your initial thoughts as you saw that live? And I guess more importantly, what did we or you or the area learn in terms of athletic training that maybe they didn't know before?
Okay, that's a lot. I'll try to make this simple. There are a lot of people that don't understand what athletic trainers do. They see us standing on the sidelines. So what do they do? Why are we paying that guy? What do we get out of this? Good friend of mine, Mike Braid, who's at Oak Ridge. We worked together for a lot of years at Hackley. Someone put in a Facebook thing, tell me what you do, and without telling me what you do for a living. And Mike puts on there, I put Band-Aids on and tape ankles. And I answered like what Mike said. Yeah, that's exactly what people think. Oh, you put Band-Aids on, you taping ankles, you do this, you do that, and we save lives.
Yeah.
And there's a lot between putting Band-Aids on, taping ankles, and saving lives. There's everything else in there. And so what did that teach us? It taught us that athletic trainers are healthcare professionals, that we have a purpose and mission, that we are prepared. So what's interesting about the Buffalo Bills thing, if you don't mind me diverting a little bit, is I spent a week of that talking to people, like everybody who kept trying to talk to me about stuff. And I like, understand our staff meets every August week before fall sports start. And we train for that specific scenario. We have a list of scenarios, we go through them, and we're very realistic. Well, as realistic as you can make them sitting in a gym or on AstroTurf, but we're like, we have that. That's one of our scenarios. Football player goes unconscious, unresponsive, you need to do CPR. What do you do? Well, here you go. Here's the AED. And you have to go get the AED and bring it to them. Maybe you saw some of the graphics. They were out on Facebook after that happened. They talked about all the medical professionals that are in an NFL game. And it's like 28 medical professionals in an NFL game between the two teams, the independent spotters, the independent neuro people, blah, 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 blah. I'm at Shelby White Cloud the first week of the game. I'm the medical professional. I'm right. White Cloud, unfortunately, doesn't have an athletic trainer. I'm at. And last year, I met White Cloud and going like, oh, my God, I've been to Waco County. I've never been at White Cloud. What am I going to do here? There is no plan. My plan is I'm hoping nothing goes wrong. If I'm at Whitehall or Montague or North Muskegon or Shelby or any place else, we have a plan. We have an emergency action plan. And hopefully everybody else learned that, oh, these guys actually have plans. Yeah, we have plans. And we practiced our plans. And we talked about our plans.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
After that situation, we had a situation at Whitehall High School. And the next morning, the athletic trainer and Brian Beebe, the athletic director, get on the phone. They go, hey, we're on a speaker. Can we talk this through? Yeah, let's talk about it. And we talked through the whole thing. What went good, what didn't go good, and is there something we should do different? And it was great. And that's basically it's a debrief. You talk through it. Guarantee they spent a lot of time talking about stuff.
Yeah. It's important stuff.
Yeah, sorry for cutting in on you there. I was
fine.
just going to give a quick shout out. You're talking about athletic training and the NFL. I did a story a couple years ago on a guy named David Glover Jr.
Yes.
He's on the Chiefs staff.
Yes, from Muskegon
And
Catholic
so
Central.
he'll be going for another title.
Yep. I've never had
Sunday.
the opportunity to meet him, but I know he's a Catholic grad.
Yep.
He's younger than I am, so he's probably a Catholic when I was in Muskegon.
Well, I mean, if I was young when you were here,
That's a
come
good
on.
point. That's a good point.
How many rings do you have?
How many rings do I have? So that's a good question. My son Patrick loves my rings. He likes to look at them. I got 4 from Muskegon football, 1 from Muskegon basketball. That was a bandwagon I jumped on.
Well, you got the ring.
He was even in the. I think he was in the box score too.
No, there's an interesting story because
He got in the game.
So Keith Guy is an interesting story because I was Keith Guy's half school athletic trainer at Muskegon Heights. Then I had him 2 years at Muskegon Community College. So I had that kid. He's 50 years old too. I had Keith Guy as a student athlete for 5 years. And then he was a coach, and now he's an athletic director, and he's an excellent coach, excellent athletic director. And he was a great student athlete. He never got hurt. I never had to do anything on Keith. He just played, just hooped. Anyways, so the funny thing about that ring, why I may have earned it a little bit. So Ted Quick already had plans to go to the Big Ten tournament after the regionals. Between the regionals, quarterfinals, a couple kids were banged up. So I went in and spent a couple of days in Muskegon, helped Keith with his kids so Ted could go to the Big Ten tournament. And I think I may have earned it. I don't know.
But you got it.
I got it.
So you earned it.
How come we didn't bring that bling?
I didn't. I don't know. And I have a Muskegon Community College national championship ring. That was pretty cool. What else was there? Well, Shane's 2017 is absolutely the biggest bling because Shane's like, I've lost a few times. We're going to make this thing big. And Shane did a great job on that ring. It's huge. Like a guy from Johnson's comes, he goes, you know what your size you are, right? I go, yeah. He goes, okay, we're going to up that by a half size because this ring's so big. I was like, and the ring shows up, you try it on, you're like, oh, dude, you're right. You know your business, don't you? So
we're at our time now, but any closing thoughts, parting shots?
No, I just want to thank John for his, all the athletic trainers because it's oftentimes thankless work, long hours that people don't see, you guys putting in. But so thanks to you and everyone else in your profession.
No, the thing goes out to them. They do the work every day. They work their butts off. They work hard. They care about their kids. So
Yeah,
thank you for that.
I would like to jump on because as a coach, that's the last thing you want to think about.
Yeah.
And as a player, I mean, that's also the last thing you're thinking about. You're like, just get me healthy so I can get back out there, and it's just kind of almost a thankless job, when it comes to that. So, I mean, I would like to, obviously thank our guys at Reese Puffer. Thank Jessica. Jessica, hooked it up.
Jessica's getting a lot of time here. She's going to shoot me later.
She hooked it up at Montague when we were there. So I mean, I think that's and then obviously you as well. But like I said, it's just such a thankless job.
No, because it's kind of like with an official, they're only brought up when something goes wrong.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, or I can't go back out there because John won't.
Right.
Won't
Yeah,
let
that's
me,
John's
Right.
fault.
Or
And your athletic trainer, John McCleve, is excellent. Does a great job.
Yeah, no, and they care. They
care
love
a
the
lot.
kids and they care, and it matters to them and matters them being professionals. So it's awesome to be a part of it. And as a coach, especially as a head coach, when you got 20 other things you're juggling, that is the last thing that you want, is also be this person. I want,
right.
You want a superior athletic trainer there. And it's awesome to have them around.
All right, before we sign off, let's thank our sponsors one more time. Grieve Law, Big Stone Therapies, Greener Jewelry with Chris Dykman, Sarah Real, North Grove Brewers, Foundation Systems of Michigan with John Botten, Coldwell Banker, Dave Dusenberry, Scheid Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and then our title sponsors, Van Dyke Mortgage Lakeshore and Durgan Insurance Group. That'll do it for Episode 7, Season 3 of the CatchMark Sports Podcast. Thanks again for joining us, John.
Thank you.
And see you guys next week. Have a good one.